All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Mick. I'm a lead developer at Happy Volcano, working on our latest game, Modulus, and I'm here with a playthrough of sorts. Probably gonna do this very chapter-based and just start out, see where it takes me. And I want to do some things like explore the latest content we have. This is not the version of the playtest. This is not the demo. This is honestly just the latest, whatever our repository is sitting at. And so you might be seeing a couple of things that you might not have seen yet, or that you might never see, because not everything makes it to production always. But I wanted to record myself trying something new. So one thing I've never been able to do, or I just never had the time to really try it, is make a build with 100% efficiency. Try and see that everything that is produced gets, used in the right ratios and so on. And I want to make it so that I make a little, basically, chain of productions, including the buildings. And instead of ramping up 100 core buildings in the very beginning and maybe make this entire island just core production, I want to make it so that little strings of buildings become self-sufficient, running at 100%, and then I can duplicate those, maybe, multiple times on one island, maybe even across islands. And this was kind of a new idea I had recently, something I wanted to try out, and that's what we're going to do. Let's get rid of this one. And for that, the first thing I would want to build is a core facility. Well, let's just place it right back. For that, we need these two modules. I don't think these have changed much in the recent past. And they are pretty straightforward. But one thing to look out for is that we do need this one only 24 times to complete production, and this one 48 times, so twice as much. And that also carries on through production. So when the building is finished, it'll take in half as many of this one compared to the other one. And that means our production should reflect this if it's supposed to be 100%. This one is really kind of straightforward to make. If we set up our miners and we extract polyrock and feed them into the furnace, 4 of them will lead to a full conveyor belt, which is 60 per minute at the moment, at the beginning of the game. And that means we have a 100% efficient production of voxel cubes, so 4x4x4 cube, which is what a furnace spits out by default. And that's perfect because we can split that. We'll use a cutter. That's going to be a really commonly used tool in this entire setup. Let's get rid of this. We will take the output of the cutter, which is 2 pieces, so it does become 30 per minute, even though the operating speed and the input speed is 15. It just cuts it in 2. That makes sense. And we can recombine those in an assembler. That does take 15 per minute on both inputs, meaning this is a perfectly... this is the setup that we want. This is 100% efficient. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe let's put a building like this. Why not? Why not put it like this, right? And that allows us to place a crane here. We can get rid of these. And that crane should be, yes, taking in the shapes. You can see them kind of pop out here in out of the center and arrange themselves nicely. And while that's going on, we can immediately continue with the second module, which is this one. And this one, we do want 2 of, compared for every one of these. So we see the output of the assembler at the very end is the 15 per minute, assuming everything's running 100%, which let's just assume that so far we haven't made any mistakes. I'm going to copy this setup, and then we're going to think about how to make this one the best way. And I think for that, we're actually going to use a cutter twice in a row. So first we're going to cut this into these halves, and then with the help of a splitter, I think what we do is we just cut them again. I mean, let me reset this one. We just rotate it, and then we make it into these little things. Let's give ourselves a little bit more space. This isn't important. This doesn't need to be going on 100%. Let's copy this. So now we're making 2 of these. And then both of them will have 30 as output again, which means if we do this, it'll end up being 2 times 15 per minute, which is 30, which is exactly what we said we wanted, because it's twice the output of the first line. meaning we now are making this one at twice the speed. Let's go this way. And why don't we... What's a nice way to set this up? I feel like I kind of want this to go this way. Is this nice? Let's do this. Go in here. It does not really need to be connected. Like this. Because we can use 2 cranes. We have a total of 4. And we can use 2 cranes, meaning that 2 of these that we're producing are also being taken in. The speed of the crane is 15 per minute, so that's fit, you know, the output of the very first operators. And that way, now we can assume that once we get into production in a second, everything is being taken in the right ratios at the same time, meaning we should be producing every 15 times per minute. That's the idea. Every 4 seconds. So that's looking somewhat nice and compact. I'm not optimizing for space right now. I'm not trying to make this the most compact build, get the most out of the island. I'm not even making it the most efficient build necessarily in terms of resources, even though that doesn't matter just yet. This one is pretty efficient. I'm just gonna make it this, right? We're just gonna make this setup so that it can work at efficiency. That's all I care about, kind of. What do we do next? I think until this is finished, let's kind of set up already a harvester pad that is used to get the cores out of the building, or anything, honestly, that the building produces is going to be picked up by the drone. We can move this so that it's as close as possible, and the time it takes is 5:25, and I think that's the shortest path we can actually currently make. But if we do need a second core facility later on, there might be a spot where it fits both better, because you can link 2 buildings to this harvester pad straight away. But that looks good. All right, so facility's done, and it is producing. It needs 4 of this module and 8 of this one. We are taking in 2 every tick, 15 times per minute. So this one should take 16 seconds overall to complete, right? 4 is needed. It takes 4 seconds to pick up 1 or 2 shapes of this one. Leaves us with 16 seconds for this to complete, meaning we are completing a core every 8 seconds. 1 every 8. That's good to remember, I assume. And I think, knowing the game from before, we're gonna need, it says here, we need 8 basic cores. And so for the relationship of these modules, or the ratios, that means that we will need a core. We need to take in a core every time, right? We want a crane to continuously picking up cores. If we do produce a core every 8 seconds, that is just half of what we need. So we can definitely assume already that we're going to need a second one. And that's really easy to do, because we have duplication and everything that allows us to do stuff like this. We can set up a really nice little structure for the polyrock again, and then we can just copy paste it over here, and then we can just run the same paths as this pretty much into a second one. Let's see if we align this smartly. Maybe like this, because how much space do they need? This is just too wide, so this should fit perfectly in here. And this one is right next to it, right? So if we do a little trickery and we come around this way, what would be the best way to do that? Hold on. Maybe we go this way? Yeah, maybe even one over, like this. This doesn't look like it's 100% efficient, But what it allows us to do is copy this entire setup. We can take everything from these two cutters in the beginning to the building, actually. And I do kind of want them to be side by side, to be honest. So this ends up being not the efficient way to do it. I did forget about this. Let's do this instead. No tunnels if you don't need tunnels, right? That's my personal rule. You don't have to do that yourself, but I do not want tunnels until I need them. This is making me think that I should have made the... Yeah, hold on. I'm going to make the furnace point this way. I'm going to make this one point that way as well. If here it doesn't really matter. We can do this though. That feels like it's nice, right? There we go. And now we're producing exactly the same as for our first core facility. Let's link it up the same way. Now we can kind of like move this around. I think it's nicest if it's here. This is 533. What is this one? 525. I think that's the closest you can get them. One of them is going to be a tiny bit further away because this is a 5x5 building. Is it? 1, 2. Yeah. And that makes it a bit tricky to place it with the 6x6 buildings in a like symmetrical pattern. You can do it if it's a gigantic factory and a huge layout. You can optimize this. But for now, we're doing this. All right. This already looks really cool. I'm very happy with this. And that allows us to kind of move on and start thinking about what we're going to do with all these cores. And I think the first answer is we're going to make bots. That just seems like it lends itself well. They need cores. We need bots to gain experience. We're going to deliver them out here in the delivery dock. The delivery dock is going to pick up 10 of them or however many and eventually shoot them down into the abyss or into down here into the fog. And we get XP for them. So that's perfect. That's what we want. We're currently rank 1. And we have these delivery targets. The first one of them is for bots. You can see those here. And you get these little rewards here for the amount that you have delivered. So that's never a bad thing. Producing bots, always good. You can still consider doing other stuff with them later on. Alright. But for the bot assembly, we need these two. This one actually is the first module that also has a different color, but that shouldn't be a problem. First of all, let's start with this. This is kind of straightforward as well. If I align everything like this, I think the obvious thing to do is we cut into slices of 1. We just take the cube and we cut into these slices, which immediately fills up our conveyor belt entirely. So it allows us to split this twice into 4 new lanes, which would all be 15 per minute after this one is split up. And then it allows us to recombine this, right, into the shape that we want. So it's kind of what we did before, just this time a little bit flatter. Gonna copy this and run it down this way. Now I'm just gonna go like this. Well, let me go like this. I like to give myself a little bit of space for things to come into. Yeah. Maybe like this, and then there can be a crane here. They do need the same amount, so we need to make another production. This one also have 2 assemblers at the end, so basically you can tell if it's 30 per minute. It is every other tile having a module, which is awesome. That is really simple to understand. 60 would be a full belt. So let's. Oh, I love when they're aligned like this. I like this too. This is a cool setup. In order to do this, it's essentially the same module as over here, right? We're already producing these 2x2x8s, but this time they need to be colored first. And the monotoner actually does, yeah, take in 15 per minute, output 15 per minute. So really, we're just doing the setup from earlier with the color changed all the way in the beginning. And that way, our speed and our efficiency isn't influenced at all. And that also allows us to just take this entire piece of the factory and kind of plop it in here. And the nice part is that when the color is the only thing that changes between for the configuration, you can see them. The operators, the first time they get a shape in a different color, they'll just display that that's what they're doing now. They're going to show it in a different color. Yeah, there we go. New module created. So color, if color is the only thing that changes for a module, you don't even have to do anything to your factory. And as you might notice, this line here is full. And the reason is because we only set up one crane. Now the crane problem is the following. We do have 4 cranes, so we could set this up 2 and 2, right? We're producing 30 per. You can see here it's again 2 on, 2 off, which is the correct amount total. We could do this where where we use 4 cranes, but the finished bot assembly, remember, it does take cores as well. It needs cores. And cores come from our core facility. This one's full, by the way. And I was gonna send them this way. And those also need to be picked up with a crane, right? We said before that we have these 2 because we wanted to produce a core every 4. 1 core every 4 seconds. Which we are doing now. But that means we're not picking up all of these shapes. So ideally what we would want is we would want more cranes per building. And that's actually an upgrade we can make in the tech tree. If you go down here a little bit, the very first upgrade, or one of the first upgrade options, is to increase the crane amount to 6 straight away. And 6 obviously be perfect for us. But we do need 2 things. We do need rank 2, which is this little number. When you zoom in, it says. And we do need 40 gray data shards, where we currently have 0, and we also aren't producing any. So, all right, one after the other. To-do list. We do need XP. For XP, we're about to finish up producing bots, right? That's awesome. We do need another harvester pad that we can just put here, and it'll pick up these bots, much like the cores, and we will feed this directly into our delivery dock, and that will give us XP every time, which is awesome. Oh, look at the drones just waiting for each other. Good drone. Well done. We're about to pick these up, don't worry. That's also leads to like a complete standstill over here because they're not picking up anything else. This is dramatic. Come on, move. Be faster. But just to get back to our math a little bit, we did say that we're producing 4 cores, a core every 4 seconds. And we are currently picking up a shape every 4 seconds. In order to complete a full set, I do believe that this building, last time I looked at the bot assembly, needs 8 shapes. So we are actually picking up cores. It also needs 8 cores. So we are picking them up in the right speed, I think. If we add more cranes, we could be picking up these shapes twice as fast, which is awesome. Then we could also use our last crane to pick up cores, but we'd be picking up 2 cores every 4 seconds. Meaning we would need 2 additional core facilities. 4 total. Am I wrong? I might be miscalculating, but in my head this makes sense. So as we get to that part, when we get there, we would have to maybe revisit how many we feed in. I know that we can also upgrade the harvester pad to allow more drones. There we go. Nice. Finish the bot assembly. Let's see if we're still right. Yes, it's 8, 8, 8. So 8 cores and 8 of each module, which we are doing. currently, which is awesome. We are producing the right amount of cores. We are, however, overproducing these modules. So what I would like to do is have the crane upgrade, and after we do that, add one crane here and here, and one for the cores, and then also upgrade our core production. Maybe we can just do it by upgrading the core facilities to a higher level. But let's not do upgrading just yet. If we throw that into the equation, all of a sudden all the ratios are different again. So this is currently an unupgraded layout that's supposed to run. We can still think about how fully upgraded looks. I don't think it says, yeah, it says unlock higher upgrades in tech tree, but it doesn't tell us just yet what our production is. A building's production level indicates how effective it is. The higher this number, the more the building will produce while still using the same input. Oh, yeah, cool. Good to know. Oh, we got a rank up. Nice. The first bots made it to the delivery dock. Oh, this is the nice animation. Look at it. They're gonna get dropped through the floor. There's not a hole yet. There's supposed to be a hole here. and they're gonna get delivered, which leads us to rank 2, which means this delivery target gave us the right amount of XP, 300 I think it was. And now we're gonna deliver 60 bots to reach this level, which is 600 XP, sorry. Perfect. Actually really nice. Honestly, a really good feeling already to have that, because now in our tech tree we already have reached the first of the 2 requirements, right? We already are looking at rank 2, and so now the only thing we would need in order to get this crane amount of 6 unlockable is data shards to buy it. Everything in this tree needs data shards. We have none. Gray ones are the only ones we can produce, and interestingly enough, they take also cores. So I think the next step, reasonable logical step, would be to go in and start the replicating these core buildings in this layout, probably over here a little bit, like in this direction. I like using this space this way. And then we're gonna set that up so that we can, well, what's the best way? Yeah, I guess we're gonna try to support one basic processing plant. We're gonna build one, we're gonna see how much it needs, we're gonna build the cores to support it, because this is running by itself. This is supposed to use itself efficiently, and then we should be on our way producing these data shards. Or rather, this processing plant produces gray processors, and then what actually makes the data shard is the data center, which can take in 2 processors and just gives you a data shard. So essentially just another conversion out of this one. So that's what it would probably look like. Something like if you use mouse 3, by the way, it's kind of like a pick your color operator. You can click anything with the mouse wheel and select it automatically down here, which is kind of great. So this is kind of what it might look like later on, right? A processing plant. I don't know how many cores it needs. We're going to do some math to figure this out once it's complete. And then we're going to also create our core facilities to support it, and hopefully get great data shards. But for now, I think this is where I'm going to call the end of the first chapter. This is already kind of nice working by itself. And I think that's a cool way to structure it. Just give myself a little bit of time, figure these things out, and then come back to it next time and continue with that plan that we just made. Thank you everyone for sticking around. And if you have any questions or anything, hit me up. I'd love to answer those. Bye.